Welcome to the Some Laugh podcast.
It could be like, oh, that was some laugh, or there was just some laughs.
Some laughs.
Well, no promising all laugh.
No, there's going to be some.
It's some laugh.
Before we start, Roscoe's got jet lag and CMB's concussed.
So you won't notice a difference. It won't be a bit of difference whatsoever. Roscoe, also one of the few people that I think can genuinely pull off a backwards cap.
This is it.
This is
you
new.
know?
I've not seen this from you before.
Sometimes I just run it, you know what I mean? No, you look like a paper boy.
I always look like a paper boy. Everybody get their caps on.
Anime weeb guy.
Yeah.
I liked how Ash always had the wee bit coming out the front.
Yeah.
He had the kind of
That's
Quiff.
why you've made that worse.
right.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll keep it like that if you
Commit to
want.
it now, though.
Christopher MacArthur-Boyd, tell us about your concussion.
I was recently concussed in my home, attacked in my home by a cupboard door.
They say that most accidents happen in the home.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Mate, I was taking stuff out my washing machine
Uh-huh.
and I stood up and the cupboard door above the washing machine was open and I just went right into the corner of it and blood started like pissing at my head. And you were like, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
You were like, blood comes out your head a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Your head pisses blood
Yeah.
when you.
When you smash it.
Yeah. It really did. You ever had a bad head?
Because there's a lot of blood in you. That's all the blood is going to your brain, isn't it? Usually, or is coming for your brain, or one of them.
It's
I
something
don't think
to
blood
do with
comes
blood.
from the brain.
No, but it goes to the brain. That's the whole point.
does
It's
go.
all
The
going to
everywhere, I
Bobby, the
think,
Bobby of the brain dynamic. What's it going to
If
be?
only if you had a boner at the time, you wouldn't have bled so much.
Do you know I was completely flaccid?
That's the thing. A lot of these guys, man, I was learning about Gallipoli, the Gallipoli campaign in the Wellington Museum, and a lot of those guys bled out for their wounds, and if only they'd had a hard on at the time, I reckon they could have survived.
That is a good strategy for
Try and
war.
nurse a semi the whole time if you can.
Yeah.
Just to take the edge off.
If you get 1,000 guys, get Bonnie Blue in front of them.
I don't know. At this point, I think Bonnie Blue, it's like,
Would you?
get somebody else, man.
New blue?
New Blue, yeah.
Bunny new?
Bonnie New. But Bonnie too.
Wow.
I keep seeing her everywhere, and I go, I think you don't seem like you're enjoying this.
Nah, I think she seems like she's.
You can
it's
see how
probably-
you could become jaded.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
They must treat it
On
a
the
lot like
circle.
gigs.
it's like the Fringe.
Yeah,
no, you're not. They're behind the eyes by last week.
Yeah, doing like a year's worth of work in like what, a day.
You swear to work. Yeah.
Hard.
But anyway, so you smashed your head off a cupboard,
Yeah.
and then you had to. And then you had to cancel. So you cancelled some gigs in these. Have you
I
been?
don't
To the
think I did cancel any gigs.
Have you been to the doctors about it?
That was a different thing. I cancelled the gigs when my tooth exploded.
Oh, right, okay.
Again.
If only you had a boner, then.
It would solve a lot of my problems if I was just constantly turgid.
Do you think the head injury
Yeah.
made the tooth happen?
And he was like,
Yeah,
was
no.
the tooth building 7? And that's 9/11. See, no one really talks about the tooth exploding, but actually that's the one thing that was
That's
That's the key
unexplained.
to unlocking it all.
Finding little tiny passports on his other teeth.
Yeah.
It's an inside job, to be fair.
It's my ass job.
What?
I got you a Christmas present.
A Christmas present?
Yeah, I've not seen you.
Not going to be a
really.
lot of structure in this episode, guys.
What month is it?
It's the 3rd of June.
Oh
the
my
3rd of
god,
June.
it's the 3rd of June. Merry Christmas
It's
to me.
not actually, it's like
Whatever it is.
4th for
It's
the
the
5th.
5th of
June.
June.
It's the 5th,
Oh my god, this
Merry
is
Christmas.
beautiful. Thank you, Christopher.
What is it, a Pokemon what?
It is a Pokemon. It's Kabuto.
Right.
It's to commemorate the one battle that me and Christopher had on the Pokemon Pocket game, where I beat him using lowly Pokemons like Kabuto.
Right.
Every
mean,
time Chris is on, he speaks about Pokemon and Mark fucking hates it.
I've never
And I
played
get
it.
caught in the middle.
I've never played him again. I've got a 100% record against him, and that's
Right.
it.
And so you decided to commemorate this defeat.
It's good to stay humble. And it's good to.
If only you'd had a
acknowledge-
boner when you were doing your Pokemon.
If only my cock was hard when I was playing, I could have just reached over and knocked the phone out your hands.
It's interesting. I feel like this has got a curse upon it,
Well,
but it's nice. Thank
you can bury it in your back garden if you want, if you don't want it in your house.
I'd need to cut the grass first.
Right.
Honestly, the grass it keeps growing.
You need to cut the grass before you bury something in it. in the
Well,
garden.
I just
Tell
like
that to Fred West. Well, he's got the
Fred
patio,
West
actually.
is getting mentioned on every podcast
Because I watched
Mark
the
watched
Netflix
the documentary.
Oh, right. So you've got. I think I watched that as well. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd remember.
We're jet lagged.
Well, I don't know. I
So
mean,
what
like,
was going on with A2?
But we covered this in the last.
okay,
We
sorry.
covered this at length.
we need to ask what wasn't going on with A2 because what wasn't going on with them was this
Someone
podcast
did tell
right
me
here.
this that it wasn't in the documentary, and I mentioned apparently Rose West used to shag her own dad.
Wow. Deliberately? Or like...
No bias.
What, you know, they were falling on top of each other.
It's like you biffing your head.
Well, there's that woman, and remember that Amsterdam story?
Yeah,
Last
yeah.
year?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I never knew if that was. I wonder if that was made up or not.
Of course that was made up.
Absolutely, that was
No,
made up.
it could have- I think it
Heard
could
a
have
story
happened.
about Jack and the Beanstalk. Was that made up or something? Yeah, of course it was made up. Who's shagging their fucking dad in
Well,
Amsterdam?
No,
or
but it
something?
wasn't. You know the story.
Yes.
It was like a.
It's ridiculous.
It was like a glory hole type scenario, wasn't it?
A hole in the wall.
And then it was like there was a stag. The only thing that is questionable is why would there be a stag and a hen do of the same wedding party in Amsterdam at the same time?
You wouldn't
Yeah.
do that.
You know what Old Zealand's like.
Exactly.
Classic
crazy
Old Zealand
down
pattern.
Old Zealand's are crazy. Do you think? See, do you remember Hole in the Wall? That was a good show. That.
It was.
Yeah. It's interesting they've not made a porno parody of that.
Hole in the wall.
Well, I
Get your hole in the wall.
Well, you got to get your dick through whatever the wall is that's
yeah,
approaching.
the wall. Basically, the wall is just a dick-sized hole. It's a pretty simple premise. I thought you were all going to be on board with it straight away.
So just
to
a
be
hole
honest.
comes towards you. And
It's just
like,
a hole come towards you,
You
aye,
need
and
a
then you're like,
handstand or
oh
something.
my god, and then.
But I'm still wanting to get to the bottom of this story, right? So what the story was.
I stood up too quick.
No, that story.
He gets that
The
stuff.
Amsterdam thing. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah. It was like, yeah,
I hate
it
that we're
was
talking
like.
about this, by the way.
You hate
Straight
talking.
off,
Why?
straight off the Bonnie Blue stuff. We're like 2 minutes in, man. Build to this.
No.
Well, I mean, let's talk about other things about Amsterdam.
I'm going to Amsterdam in September.
I'm aware you're going on holiday, Christopher, because you pulled out that
That's
thing,
right.
and now I'm left playing the drums.
Yeah. That's cool though.
Is it?
They were both in the Oasis reunion.
We were going to do a charity pop punk emo covers night with some people, but I'm in Amsterdam, so you're in it.
Yeah.
Who else is
Well,
in the band?
Declan Welsh, I think's doing it.
son of
And
Irvin Welsh.
He's lost. No, I don't think so. But he's lost his voice, so I don't even know if he's going to be doing it.
Oh, that
Might just be
sounds
you,
this
mate.
sounds even better.
Might
I'll
just
just
be
be
you
playing
on
Franz
stage.
Ferdinand on the drums by myself.
A one-man band. You could easily be a one-man band, though, Rosco.
Oh, I reckon if I had the kit, I could do it. Yeah.
I'm surprised you've not done that on stage yet.
Yeah.
It's just after being a drummer and having to carry like drum stuff around for so long, all my time was just trying to bring less and less stuff to the stage. Even the tiny hand for a while, I was like, this is too much stuff.
But you just had that in your jacket all the time.
Yeah, no, but it was still too much stuff
Right.
to have to leave the house and go. Have I got that tiny hand? Oh, it's in the pocket. That's
Keys,
always been in.
wallet, tiny hand.
Oh, I've got my tiny feet in my back pocket as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible times.
Well, thankfully you're not doing stand-up these days, Roscoe. As are we all.
We're all doing
And
stand
this,
up.
the idea of this episode is that we're, of course, this week, as this goes out,
Really?
this Sunday,
It comes out then?
it will be Christopher
Wow.
MacArthur-Boyd. First of the Summer Laugh
Live at the pavilion, eh?
experience.
Live at the pavilion opening up for me that night was
Rosco McClelland ripped it as well.
It was very good. I was there. I was there on the night. It
What
was-
did you think?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought you were both excellent. It was great to see us up there.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice. Just a nice moment. A real coming of age moment, I would say.
What I liked about it was the fact that Christopher wanted the room so dark, and then they told me later that because he'd had it so dark, you can't
The lighting
really
was fucked for you.
you can't really see the rest of the pavilion, like your boxes and stuff like that. So
So
really,
I guess in
could've filmed it
hindsight, the
anywhere.
idea of filming in a big venue like that is that the camera goes whoa, look at all these people in this beautiful room.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's in darkness, you cannot see those people.
Well, this is the argument thing though, because like the way that telly would shoot something is that they would have the audience all lit, but then it makes it a harder gig because people like, and they're in the dark, they're less inhibited and they'll laugh more. So it's actually better if you want to create the sort of authentic stand-up experience. It's better to just have them dark, and you can still see bits of the theatre. You can see it like, but it's just like, you know.
I'm so happy with how dark it was.
It's of course.
How does it look? I assume you've watched it all
So it's
back.
great.
I've watched it like 3 times. It's incredibly dark.
I have not watched mine at all.
What do you mean you've not watched it?
I've watched it in bits.
Your
but
special?
I've not sat and watched it all the way through.
Right. At the stand?
Well, yours looks
Yeah.
very good as well, Rosco, I must say.
Yeah, I skimmed it and I was like, looks good. I'm sure it's good.
It'll do.
You got
That's-
Mason Stade to do yours.
That's it. Yeah.
Tom Stade's son.
Son of Irvin.
Tom Stade,
Son of-
Son of
Welsh.
Declan Welsh's uncle.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a bit in it. There's a bit that's not in it, unfortunately, that I'm sad isn't in it. But I'm just worried about. It's the Proclaimers bit. I'm just
Right.
worried about like DMCA.
Oh yeah, because it's like a music thing.
Yeah.
Did
But then,
you?
did you actually have the instrumental in the background?
Yeah, I did.
Ah,
In
okay,
the
yeah.
recording.
Right.
What I should have done in hindsight was recorded my own slightly different version, just like a.
Or the karaoke version.
Oh, the cat. Well, yeah. Even
Yeah.
then, do you know what I mean?
Kind of bagpipes version of Proclaimers or whatever.
I could have just went up a note or something like that. Just played it myself.
Yeah, that
but,
was a funny bit.
Yeah.
Ah, well, it can
Oh,
always
well.
be. You know, you can put it as a DVD extra
Yeah.
of some kind.
Yeah.
At some
Maybe
point.
one day. So I can feel myself like.
Yeah, you're jet lagged. You
Training.
don't need to carry this episode,
alright.
Roscoe. You're
Just chill out.
Relax
you're
over
just
there.
back from.
Take
from
your
New
shoes
Zealand,
off. I'll
course.
give you a massage.
Oh, I can't actually. These are like new docks. I'm breaking them in.
Oh,
So
why would you break your dogs in when you have jet lag?
Well, no, I started
Both
breaking
ends
them
of your
in.
body
Yeah.
struggling.
I started breaking them in New Zealand. It was terrible. But
Your heels are going to be like my head.
it's not the heels actually. It's this. See this bit here?
Oh, your toe knuckle?
Oh, tight toe knuckle.
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
The knuckles of my feet. Yep.
No, I don't mean like the. I don't mean on my
You
actual
mean like
toe
that
bit.
bit,
And
the
this
flat
bit
bit at the
here,
top?
yeah.
Oh,
See right there?
Your,
Oh, tight.
your
Sunroof.
overcarriage.
I think you're just making up feet bits now. Man.
What do you call it? Sunroof?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's better. That's better than overcarriage.
Isn't it? Okay. I should
I'm not saying overcarriage is bad. I'm just
Undercarriage
saying-
is there. Your boss. So that's the overcarriage.
Is
That
that
was
what
a
you
great
call
job
it?
of selling these specials.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone's going to tune in.
Unmissable.
What do you call it?
What?
I
I've
don't
never
know what the
thought
fuck
of it.
you're talking about with the
The
over.
top
the
part
top
of
of
your
your
foot.
The flat bit before you get to the
The
toes.
head of the foot.
I would
The
just
head
call
of
it your metatarsal because that's what
bonnet?
I remember. The bonnet.
Metatarsal?
I think that's in there
metatarsal
somewhere.
was-
That's
it's
what
in-
Rooney.
That was Rooney,
remember.
Rooney.
Rooney done it, and I
uh,
remember him getting the top of his foot stood on. So I just go, "That's your
Ah,
metatarsal."
What's that thing? I seen a thing on the internet recently, and it was like, oh, back in the day, Rooney shaved his eyebrows off for Manchester United to celebrate winning or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No,
I
it was
think
Beckham shaved his head, or he got a Mohican,
Yes.
and then it was like the biggest deal in the world.
Oh,
And
yeah,
every kid in the country
I
started
had
getting a
one. Yeah,
Mohican.
yeah.
And then Alex Ferguson's like, "Can't be having that," and he had to shave it and just have a baldy after like 2
Actually,
days.
I know what you're talking about because I saw it the other day. Rooney shaved like that number into his chest hair,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
all the way
Kids weren't
around.
doing that.
He didn't like.
no, they
Swept the nation's playground.
Rooney didn't have quite the same kind of
No,
influence. That Beckham
no. Everyone could tell he was going to be a wee fat, ugly, bald guy when he grew up. From when he was young, you're like, we know, but you're going to look like you
He's not
belong
bald. He's
in
had a hair
Benidorm,
transplant.
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ugly duckling is never really a swan in real life. Do you know what I mean?
You enveloping Eric Cantona quotes in yourself there.
You told that you were going to turn into a swan when you grew up, Chris.
I remember working with a guy, and my dad said, "Oh, one of my pals runs this." There was a hairdressers in Debenhams. Don't know if you remember that.
Wow.
There was a barber's
That's
in
Huge,
Debenhams.
huge if true.
It it is. And
Huge,
my
though.
dad
This
was like,
country was booming at one point.
"This was the glory days."
It was the Blair years, you know.
No, this would have been solid.
Britpop and
Just into
Hairdressers
Cameron, I
Debenhams.
think. And it was the first time I seen an orange walk, because I remember walking across town. And I was like, whoa, who are these guys? And then I went past, I tried to cut through, didn't like that. And then I went
Yeah,
into
I've done that. They
You
don't
need to
like
get
that.
to Debenhams
I didn't know
sometimes.
that was bad.
Well, what? I mean, obviously you've taken up the road. I need to get to the other side. I don't understand your issue with each other until now. I've read a couple of books about it. But then jumped over the road into Debenhams, and I was working with this guy, and he was just working at Debenhams by himself in his barber shop, and I was his helper, sweeping up the floors and washing hairs and things.
Sounds tense.
And he went, "You getting your hole a lot?" I was like, "No." I was, 18, 17, 18.
Was this guy Dee from Lemmy's shorts? He was like,
It's
you get your hole a lot.
How old
You
was
get
this
your hole?
guy?
He must have been in his early 20s.
Right.
But to me, he seemed 40
Yeah, totally.
when you're a teenager.
Do you get your hole a lot?
You get your hole a lot?
What's a lot?
I was like, I've never had sex.
I like how
So
he,
no problem.
he assumed you've had your hole.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
are you
yeah,
getting
that's
it
nice.
a,
Are you
a
getting it a
regular?
lot? And then he went, see, when you grow up, you're going to be a wee shagger.
Which is his way of saying the ugly duckling turns into a swan.
That's, yeah, totally.
Wow.
See, when you grow up, you're going to be a wee shagger. I could tell. You're not getting it now, but you will.
What other predictions did this guy have for the future?
Well, he got fired.
2012, the world's going to end.
He got fired pretty quick after that. He wasn't very good. But
Yeah, plus he's talking to like 14-year-old boys about shagging.
well, he told me a story. He was like, I remember being in town and this enemy I've got came up to me.
Sorry, did they use the word enemy?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This
That's
enemy
cool.
It makes you feel like less of a person, more like a Dr. Robotnik character.
Sonic Hedgehog came up to me in town. And he was like, aye. And he fucking said something to me in front of my girlfriend. And you never say things in front of somebody's girlfriend. It's just not right. And that stuck with me. I think it's true. I think it's a good point.
Things?
You should never slag somebody off in front of their girlfriend. It's just not right to do it. If it's
No, I
even
think-
if it's an enemy.
That's true.
I agree.
What other pearls of wisdom have you taken for this man? And
Pretty much all my
into
beliefs.
your
Every belief system I've got is based around him.
never slag anyone off in front of their girlfriend. Talk to 14-year-olds about sex.
I was 17.
things.
Must have been a wee bit older than that. I was
Right.
16, 17. But no, I would have been 15, I think, because I was listening to a lot of Pantera at the time. And it was about 16 again, like the Smiths, but this was proper heavy metal shit.
Interesting. Well, I think you've seen something in you. You've seen a sort of a confidence that has then since came out in your comedy career.
Well, yeah, he
Because your sort of stage presence to an extent is, look, I'm this wee guy, but I'm a bit of a shagger.
No.
That's such a. By the way, that is such a fantastic link, Mark, and I just want to applaud you for bringing that right
Thank
from,
you very
from
much.
child sex stories to
Child sex story?
Well, it's
He was
kinda.
18. He says he was 18.
Yeah.
He was 18.
I'll
But
play for sex.
But you do have this because I think you changed because you used to always be like more self-deprecating, and then you sort of went, do you know what? I'm actually not really like that. I'm more confident, and it's like you've got this sort of confidence, often
I think it's just-
completely baseless.
It's not based on that. I just think it's funnier. I just realised that it's funnier if I'm like more confident than it is
And
if
it
I'm
is.
like, oh, sorry, because I'm.
Well, the wee guy in Debenhams that taught you everything, he had he had a confidence based on nothing, I suppose.
Huge.
So
Yeah, he was a drummer in a
Tracks.
punk band. It turned out. I remember doing my first ever show, and he showed up late, and he was like tanned. And he just
So we didn't encounter with one of his other enemies.
and I was like, remember we were in Debenhams that time, and he just looked at me like, what? What are you talking about?
Did you just imagine there was a hairdressers in Debenhams?
No. Look it up.
He's trying to beat the allegations, and that's what's going on there.
Oh, really?
Also, I saw him. He was at the back of the pavilion when he done it, and at the end, he was just like, "That's my boy."
I knew you could do it.
He melted into mist.
You'll be getting your whole lot after this.
He just turned into sand and blew away in the wind.
That's funny.
Don't we all?
I remember that was a big pressure. I remember like going. There was a guy I worked with in Asda, and it was like, I just remember when I was on like my first lads' holiday, feeling so much pressure that when I came back, I knew he was going to be like, did you shag anyone? You know, like, that's such a fucking stupid guy thing that happens. And it's only usually one guy that's like, what the fuck do I care what he says or whatever? But the whole holiday was like just trying to prove to him. Think what I did. It's just like the fucking
slightly older, slightly weirder guy.
I need to shag someone, so I've got something to talk about while we're putting the super noodles up.
That's literally was it, eh?
But people say that about social media and stuff. It's like you're out on a night out and you're not thinking, oh, I want to have a good time now. You're like, how am I going to convey that I was having a good time?
Yes.
He was like your phone.
That's right. He was an analogue version of social media. That's one guy that I'm trying to impress.
Have you ever worked with a weird guy?
Hundreds of them.
Let's hear it.
I mean, I don't want to.
Come on.
I don't know, it's too easily identified, but I used to work with this mad stoner who was like in fact, he was an alky, and he would tell all these mad stories about getting guns pulled in him and stuff. And I think about 10% of them were true, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that guy. Be great. Do you want me to, I'll text him now, tell him you're talking about him.
I do.
He's a cool guy.
There was a guy that used to work in Asda that was a mad bullshitter, like a sort of compulsive liar. And like I find these guys fascinating. You do get them quite a lot, particularly like when you're younger. I feel like maybe people grow out of it or something, but I feel like those guys that just tell like obvious lies. This guy had an obsession with Manchester stuff, so he said that he was related to Gallagher
cool.
brothers. He said that he used to play football with Micah Richards. He had all these like, mad stories. None of them were true, obviously, but it was just like it was amazing. Like just hearing, and any time he spoke to you, you just knew it was all lies.
This guy's an absolute shite talker.
I worked with a mad electrician. It was only for a while, and he used to like not bring. He couldn't be bothered bringing in ladders to go up loft hatches, so he would like just fucking jump up. And pull himself. Like, what are you doing? One time he kicked a hole in a customer's wall. That was the last time he worked with us, and I was like, what a mad guy. He just always seemed like kind of like he always seemed like he was ready to be like get fucked at any point. And then about a year or two later, I saw him in George Square, and he was carting about a big cross on a wheel round George Square, and I thought, he's changed, isn't he? He's carrying stuff.
Ladders used to be too
He's
much.
carrying stuff.
What do you mean a big cross?
Like it was like an Easter thing, so an actual big Jesus cross.
So he was doing a reenactment
crucifix?
of the.
He was just like wheeling it around George Square.
Yeah.
Not actually. He had the cross bit, and then the long
on
bit
wheels.
was
It's
on
funny
on
when
a
you
wheel,
put
and he was
the wheels
just-
on it and you're like, oh, Jesus didn't have the wheels.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did he have a sort of the end is nigh sort of thing? You know that was.
No, I can't mind what he was wearing. I think he was just wearing clays, but I was just remembering going, that's fucking Les, the electrician. Carting out. I was like, I better phone my
That's his name,
dad.
folks.
People change.
Listen, I think he'll have changed back and be dead by now. So
He was just monkey leaping into Lilith. Like,
it was crazy, man. It was crazy. That
That's
also
cool.
takes quite a
A lot of upper body strength.
yeah, to just go fuck it.
I'm still unclear as to the purpose of why he was carrying the cross
For
around.
a laugh.
I assume
Like a
that he had
religious-
became born again
Right.
after whatever his life was like when he was fucking jumping up into loft hatches and getting fucking fucked up all the time.
I've never seen someone pull a cross like that though.
I've never
That's
seen
not
it. I've
normal.
never seen it before or since.
Was it
just
like the size that you picture? Like, you know, like full arm
It
span?
was big, guy. It was big. It wasn't just him. There was a group of people, but he was the only one pulling the cross around.
Full replica
the time-
kit.
What a full cut wanker. You had that guy who was he was a roofer and getting bother.
I think you mean the electrician. It was another electrician.
Right.
Who was up on the roof, and I called him the fiddler on the roof,
Yeah.
and nobody in my work got what I was.
He was a
Doing.
pedo.
Well, arguable,
Right.
right? We're not sure.
He was a
I never
finagler.
was sure. I left before it all got resolved. I assume not.
Right. He was
But-
accused.
There was something going on, right? And I called him the fiddler on the roof. Nobody understood it, and I was just like, I need to get out of here, man.
Yeah.
That's
Oh.
a good enough base joke that everybody should
When
get.
that joke's not landing, you're like,
Yeah.
Aye, I
I'm
was
in the wrong
like, I'm
place.
out of here. Do you know what I mean?
I bet he's found Jesus now.
I don't think so. He used to do a thing that would really get. He would go, Raz, Raz, Raz. And I don't know why. It would like just grind me up. And
Yeah.
I would like, I'm going to fucking snap. I think I just didn't like my job. I think that's what the main
Sounds like it.
base was.
But you were sort of trapped to these people. Let's see if they would have some wee thing they would say like that all the time, and then
Yeah.
you need to see them every day, and they would also say, and you just kind of go, God, I'm just trapped in this.
Yeah.
You know, having to have the same fucking conversation.
I
That's
know.
where depression comes from.
And I'm sure they probably thought, I keep saying nice things to this guy and he keeps walking away with rage in his eyes. What's
Yeah.
that kind of all about? I'm like, well, we're all just different people trying to get by, ain't we?
We're just ordinary people.
We don't know where to go.
Yeah.
It's a good song. What happened to him? John Legend's he doing all right?
He just played Wembley.
Good for him.
You've been into the kind of rabbit hole of conspiracy theories about John Legend, is that?
No.
Oh.
What's the
Is
rabbit
there?
hole?
Yeah,
like
did
other
he?
ones,
Oh,
isn't
friend,
people-
friend of Diddy.
Well, I don't know
Was
that.
that a friend of Dorothy? But yeah.
Because people really, like, all the QAnon people hated his wife, Chrissy Teigen, or whatever,
right.
and then they all thought they were like, you know, shape-shifting
Well,
lizards or what have you.
Well, I mean, listen, if he's a shape-shifting lizard, then that lizard is good at writing wee piano numbers.
Yeah.
So good
that's
for
an
it. You
iguana
know?
who can really tinkle the ivories.
To do that with claws, hard.
Here's the thing, see, I would say this about him, John Legend, and to a slightly lesser extent, Frank Ocean, right?
Oh.
I heard them both mainly doing like hooks on rap songs, but see the thought, and I have listened to a wee bit of Frank Ocean, but see the thought of just listening to their whole album, it just seems boring to me.
Frank Ocean's one of the greatest musicians in the last.
And listen, I know I've listened to a bit and I do understand, but
Channel Orange is a beautiful.
I know I've listened to it, as I say, but took me a while to just go, but where's the rap?
Where's the rap bit?
Aye.
He's not.
It's not for me, nah.
He's not a hip-hop
I'm
guy.
not a hip hop guy. Even though I've got a cap on backwards, it's not really.
You're getting the wrong impression about Ross.
It's not really for. It's not really for me. If you know what I'm saying.
Roscoe likes music. It's like my mom and dad are fucking fed up with me.
Yeah. Guess what? Guess what?
They are.
I related to it. I was like, I don't know anything about like guns and Cavassier, but I do know stuff about my mum and dad going, fuck's sake, get a job.
My girlfriend says grow up, but I'm too busy eating pizza.
What's not to like about that? Like, this is describing my life.
Yeah.
There's very, very sort of skater vibes, I would imagine.
Yeah, right now I'm into I'm listening to a lot of hardcore, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is it's hard to describe.
Roscoe and Liam are both getting into hardcore because it's like
Turnstile.
Well, this is the thing, yeah.
Because-
when Liam said he was into Turnstile, I was like, wait, what?
it's because you're a big body lifter, guys.
Well, they're-
Hardcore is like punk music for people who lift weights.
Well,
Right. And it's just a lot of shouting and screaming, is it?
Well,
it's
it's a wee bit, yeah.
100%. 100%. Turnstile is like easy listening hardcore because they've got like wee sounds in it, like
Kind of bougie. I would say bougie more than easy listening.
yeah. But fuck me, man, it's been cool because I like hardcore, but it was just weird like seeing Liam Misnell like Turnstile. I was like, can I drag him down to my level here?
It's like Radio 6. It's like 6 music hardcore.
yeah,
But it's
That's-
good. It's good. The last album was awesome.
it's close. I was even when you said that you liked pop, I was like, what's going on here, man? Because
How was pop? I've seen them the last time they were in town.
my
Pop
stuff.
fucking rock. Yeah,
Pop
it was great.
rock.
Really
hard,
good.
Really good punk rock music. They're like pop punk, but
They're on my
Sex
end
music,
of it.
pop punk,
We're meeting
yeah,
at them, aren't
the
we?
national end of pop punk.
This
Yeah,
is
the sad
where
end.
I'm just seeing people's spheres get closer to mine and going, what the fuck is happening, man? This is crazy.
Everybody's gonna be wearing the hat backwards.
I've started it already.
Yeah,
you
the
know,
trend is alive.
I come in, I put my hat backwards, and then there you go. Oh, sidewards. Well, you look like
I
mad.
can't believe you've kept that on like the entire episode just because
You look like
I said that Roscoe is one of the only people who could pull off a backwards cap.
Well, can you pull off a sideways cap?
you look like Mad Max. Remember those wee things?
Who?
Mad Max. You would get
The
a little,
Australian post-apocalypse guy?
you would get like a little
Football
plastic.
crazy chocolate man. Grab a power ball and play football with a
This is
lad.
just fucking
No.
free association today.
It's like Polly Pocket, right?
It's really
See,
hard to jump into this conversation.
Yeah.
Have you got any stuff on Polly Pockets?
They had them around at my grand's because my elder cousin, she had them, and then they were just in the house.
Is that one of these
couldn't
things
really
like-
figure them out.
Had it
just
around my
around.
grand's bit kind of thing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know my Polly Pockets. This is my grand's.
My Polly Pocket collection's in my grand's.
He went to
bit.
another school.
The Polly Pockets had like a little boy version. I think it was called like
Oh.
Mad Max or Mighty Max. It might have been, and you opened up and there was just like a kind of a scene in like a
little
skull
lair.
dungeon, and it would have a wee red cap on, sometimes sideways like that.
Who was your big?
You look like you're from like the Offspring video, like someone that, someone that wouldn't get any pussy in an Offspring
Are
video.
you saying that like pretty fly for a white
You
guy?
look like a neighbour in a sitcom or something. You look like Roger for Sister Sister or something.
Hey sister, gotta get you with my mister.
Or just
Christopher.
somebody for
Sorry.
recess.
You remember that episode where
TJ
Roger,
Detweiler.
where Roger came back?
Yeah, but it was
From the
different
dead?
actor.
Was it different actor? I thought he
think-
just had a glow up.
So in the script,
Hold on, what show are we talking about now?
Sister
Sister,
Never even fucking heard of
in
it.
the
What?
early days, it was a kind of
Nickelodeon.
I don't
female,
have Skyline.
female version of Keenan and Kel, sort of, but they were twins.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
Precursor
got
to That's So Raven in terms of the black children's sitcom universe.
That's
Okay.
true.
you. I had it in time for that, so Raven.
Right.
Right.
Where are the
before-
sisters called Tia and Tamara?
Yeah.
I think they might have been.
That's good. That's
But
good.
right, because I'm going to actually look this up, but explain well.
So there was
right.
this guy called Roger who would sneak
Go
in.
home, Roger was the
Go
the
home,
catchphrase.
Roger. And
I'm laughing already.
he would get a ladder and he would try and get in the twins' bedroom.
No, you're mixing it up
She
with
did on a
Sabrina.
monkey jump.
Sabrina Harvey was always coming up with a ladder.
This was a trope, a common trope.
Right, okay.
So Roger would get in.
Maybe this is why Les didn't want to be associated with those.
maybe it is,
He's
yeah.
not a
He's
peeping
like, I don't
Tom.
want to be a fucking...
I'm not a fiddler on the roof.
Imagine fucking Roger was just leaping up into the room like a
For the
fucking...
listeners, Mark's just been on his phone for 2 minutes now. Carry on, Chris. Describe
I
this
can't
to me.
believe you missed. You said imagine fucking, and I came in with the boo. Imagine fucking boo. I can't believe you missed that. You let that
Imagine
slide.
boo.
That was good
So,
stuff.
Roger would not monkey leap like an electrician. He
Yeah.
would climb a ladder into the room, and it was like, "Go home, Roger, you little boy." But then he kind of went away for like a season in my imagination. Then he came back, and he'd like hit puberty, and he
Yeah.
was like sexy, and they were like, "Oh my god, it's Roger,"
We like Roger now.
and they couldn't. It was hard for them. to
Roger's hot now. But I remember watching that at the time and I thought they'd changed the actor. Because, like,
take. Time had changed them.
yeah. Because he did look very different.
How old's this kid?
Huh?
In the,
It does
The
look as
actor.
though
Oh, he went from being a 14-year-old playing a 12-year-old to being an 18-year-old.
he's
playing a
basically, he's
16-year-old.
went
Right,
from
okay.
how old, like, Roscoe's making out Chris was in that story about Debenhams to what age he actually was.
Exactly.
But yeah,
do you have
puberty.
any cool toys when you were a wee guy? Like a
Toys?
Mad Max or something? What was the thing where you're like, nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about like Max Steel. Remember him? He was kind of like an
I
action
love
man.
Take it to the
I
Max-
love the
Max
Power
Steel.
Rangers, I would say that. The Power
them?
Rangers.
You
were
had the
fucking-
toys?
I think so. I
Yeah.
must have had
Have
one
you
or two.
seen that one clip? I see it all the time now, and it's like a sort of Rita Repulsa-esque character, and she's got the blue Power Ranger down, and she's like, "Well, the yellow one's the smart one, and the pink one's the pretty one, the red one's the strong one. So what does that make you?" And he goes, "I'm Scottish." And he's just a Scottish Power Ranger.
I
who's
did not know
I
that.
have seen
Very
that.
cool.
Just
He
a
was
Scottish
blue?
Power. Yeah, I guess he's just like, I'm fucking mental. That's my trope.
So it was.
sorta
It
sounds like
wasn't the
Roscoe.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It would have
It
been
was a good impression of yourself.
I'm Scottish. I didn't even have to do the voice. I'm like, well, yeah,
You're
just say it.
blue. What does that make you?
I'm Roscoe. What the deal?
What did you have as toys growing up, Chris?
Yeah, I had. Well, a guy who lived 2 doors down called Scott. He had the.
Go home, Scott. Oh, Scott's hot now.
His wee
Did you get your whole
sister-
loft in the Scott?
I just remember him because his wee sister couldn't say magazine. She would say mazagine. But he had all the Power Ranger toys, but then he had the fucking thing where you combined all the weapons to
The,
make
the Megazord
the
thing?
Megazord sword. The
Whoa,
Megazord. thing.
Megazord.
Yeah.
Should have had a hard time fucking saying that as well.
Is it good? But yeah, I mean, I had Max Steel. He was. It was
What was
like-
Max Steel? I don't remember that.
They were trying to bring in like an action man.
Extremely porno name.
Yeah, we put yeah, or like a magnate. But he would like. He was kind of supposed to be like the Digimon to Action Man's Pokemon, I guess.
Right, okay.
It never quite really landed.
do
He had his
re-
own cartoon.
I remember the Take It to the Max. Max Steel.
Yeah, that was the
I remember that, yeah.
Take it to the max. Max Steel.
Yeah.
I had a lot of wrestling figures, and I would often. What I used to do was get the VHS cassette tapes, and I would like make the stage and all that with them. I think I had the ring, and then but I would make this sort of stage in the arena with all the cassette tapes and stuff.
There was a website I went on
quite
called
nice.
wrestlingfigs.com. I was a fairly high up member of the message board for a while.
Can't wait to clip this up with you saying that with that fucking cap on.
So wait, and your stand-up is about not being a wee gimp? No?
Fred, does anyone on here get their whole much?
But one thing you could do was you could print off. Someone had designed like the office for the general manager to stay in.
Great.
So you could print that off, stick it to a piece of cardboard. Then you could have like,
In retrospect, not as realistic, given what we now know about Vince McMahon.
and you could have your guys talk to each other in an office or something with the right thing. But I would print off a lot of stuff.
That's cool.
I had the ladder match set up where you got a pole. This was for the Tesco in Shelton, and you got the pole that came up off the turnbuckle, and then the ladder to climb it and grab the belt. That's pretty cool. I had a lot of wrestling stuff. I sold it when I was like 16.
How did your parents feel about you using all the ink in the printer?
They weren't happy about it. 'Cause my dad's a self-employed businessman, so
My dad.
but he could claim it back.
Yeah, one time
HMRC will investigate them.
Sorry, HMRC.
when we
I was using my dad's ink.
when we just got like a printer, basically, there was like a weird program in the computer at the time, and it was like, oh, we'll teach you how to like make a paper aeroplane, basically. And you're like, oh, cool. So it would just like print out the lines and then go fold these lines. And then one of them was like, oh, you can make like a jet black paper aeroplane. So essentially, I've
Cost
just
you
like
500 quid.
yeah, I've just full printed a sheet of paper with black ink, man. Just
That's a
my
lot.
dad's like, what's going on, man? What's all this ink? And I'm like, oh, hey.
Surely you'd have been better just colouring it in.
Well, you would think so, aye, but I just, it seemed authentic at the time.
That's
Wow,
crazy.
that's cool, man.
It's funny that at one point that seemed like the cutting edge of technology. You can make a jet black.
I
Like,
remember getting the internet for the first time, and there was a website called samruby.com that was for Spider-Man.
How high up in the message boards were you? You ran
I
that
was a
one.
lowly,
With great power comes great responsibility on this message
I
board.
was a lowly noob, but he would have every villain, and I would see a picture of a bad guy, a Spider-Man bad guy, like, and I go, oh, okay, I would save it. Save the
I'll
picture.
be needing that later.
And I go, oh, there's a Human Torch. I'll save it. And I had all these pictures saved. And my dad was like, what are you doing? That's who the internet is.
That's not what we boys are meant to look at on the internet.
I'll get you a job in Debenhams. There's a guy in there who'll sort you right out.
You need a positive male influence in your life. I'm sending you to Debenhams. The short-lived Debenhams in-store barber will teach you how to be a man.
I'm going to set up a hairdressers and doing them just to straighten you out, son. What age were you when you got the internet?
Your hole.
I thought that's where I was going.
Which way you started getting your whole lot? The first get the internet, I would have been like, must have been 11, 12, 13.
Yeah. I think I was 14 when we got it. 'Cause,
But my dad's a kind of geeky type guy, so we got it pretty early in the PlayStation as well.
yeah. No, because we had I remember having a computer in the house that was like somebody we knew it was like the old one, and they gave us it, and we had a computer but it didn't have the internet on it. So just for I think it was a
Playing
couple
like
of
Hot
games.
Wheels games.
It was
that
like
you get from
games. I was
McDonald's.
like maybe like pinball and shit like that.
Pinball for Windows XP was
pinball.
incredible.
It was
with
before
the
this, so this
spaceships.
is like you're talking 98 maybe,
Right, okay.
maybe even earlier.
I
Minesweeper.
remember having one of the wee, I think it may have been Amiga, and going to the bars with my dad to buy like copies of Worms and stuff like that.
Oh,
the
Worms
the
rocked,
wee
yeah.
floppy disks. Great.
I downloaded Worms for the Switch.
How
It's
was it?
hard as fuck.
Yeah.
They make you do like weird challenges before you can even start the story. I
That's
couldn't do
great.
it.
There's a story to it? A
Yeah.
story mode?
Worms.
But that's the story. One word story.
They hate each other.
It's like the saddest 5-word story ever. Worms.
Ernest Hemingway once said, "I'll beat you there, Ernest. 1-word story. Worms." We will all be worms eventually. It's a story of sorts. Story of life.
Will we be worms or
But eaten by worms.
Yeah,
Not
but
necessarily.
ingested
You
ones.
could be cremated and then you're just a big bag of dust.
Even the worms aren't interested.
worms famously aren't into that?
No.
Would you like to be buried or cremated, Chris?
I don't know. I'm not really fussed.
Half and half.
I'm not here.
Get
You
half
want
of me
half-
down
you
there.
Half rice, half chips. Best of both worlds.
Because is it mad that there's a way that you think, well, if I get buried rather than cremated, if somehow technology came along at some point and says, well, we can resuscitate on these dead cunts, right?
Well, there's that guy in LA.
It's just scientist on the news.
We can
That's one of the most
resuscitate these
insane
dead
things I think you've ever said, man.
If they go, well, but unfortunately, everybody who get cremated, we can't bring back because they done that to themselves. But we can get.
There is a
back.
cryotherapy centre in LA, and they freeze people to go, oh, you've got something wrong with you, but
Yeah.
maybe medicine will be able to sort that out in 60 years. So you need to pay rent on this cryo chamber. And
Yeah.
obviously it's a scam, but
Do you think so?
it's preying on people's weakness.
That's
The
what
guy's
we-
really strange. I think he has sex with his wife on top of the machines and stuff.
Right.
That's about the best version of that story.
Oh,
This is with his wife and
his
he's only near
marital
the-
normal sex just
Yeah.
on some
Why is this
machines.
cryogenic very big? Got a wee hole at the back.
There's a hole in the wall. So no, it was my dad inside all along.
The Amsterdam
There we
cryo
go.
chamber shagging story, yeah.
Lovely stuff.
There we go.
You can tell we're
Mark's
all
like,
really
is that
good.
real?
You can tell we're all really good at putting together hours.
Absolutely.
to
If you want
watch
to see
as
more of that kind of structured,
Yes.
You've not really spoke about your show, Horse.
No one's fucking spoke about their show, have they?
no, not really.
You said it was dark at yours. That's all we've learned.
You said it was dark. Your show?
No. Yours was the light.
No,
Oh, it was quite
not
dark,
not
yeah.
in content, but in actual.
I loved
Um,
your story in your show about going. I mean, it's called Horse, and it's like I thought it would be like, do you know, in Tony Hawk when you play horse,
Like skate.
like donkey.
Yeah.
like donkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was donkey around my bit.
That's one
You
extra
have to
letter.
chuck the ball back and forward more.
Yeah,
I guess it makes the game longer, so it's more fun.
more time to do things in Fife.
Yeah, the show's great.
The fast.
I know what is your question here? What is
I just loved that story about the horse having pints.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Thanks, man. I had to cut a line. It's about a horse drinking Guinness in a local pub in my town.
that happened in
That
your
is
local
true,
pub.
yeah. David Duncan.
Because people kind of treat you like you're a Teutcher or something, and you're like, I'm not a Teutcher.
You know when you Google Teutcher, it's me that comes up.
Because of that clip.
Because of this podcast.
We done that clip about it.
It's a screenshot of me on here, and it says Teutcher in yellow fucking capital letters.
Can I do it right
And
now?
yet you consider yourself not to be a Teutcher. And yet you're the dictionary
It's like
definition of
if
it.
you look up a picture of Chuked on the dictionary, it's
Somebody sent it to me. Like, I had to just Google this word to explain it to someone. You fucking coupons it.
That's crazy.
I think that's the single proudest thing.
That's the
I've-
legacy.
Yeah, of this podcast.
Some Teutcher.
Stevie comes up when you Google Chuked up. Oh.
Do you know what I was very interested in how fast it changed when Prince Charles became King Charles
Yeah.
to what would be the #1 image search. It took a few days for Prince Charles to overtake the actual King Charles Spaniel as the
Yeah.
#1
Really?
thing. Yeah.
There was
You
a few
keeping a
days.
close eye on it.
I was, yeah. I've got a lot of things going on, a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
But you've got to make time for your hobbies.
This is
You
very
do.
true.
You do.
What make are your denims, Rosco?
Black.
Did he spend long on Stu's?
Yeah. Am I fielding that question?
Because they're selvage, I think.
Quite a high
What does that
turn up.
mean?
So selvage is about the weave and the weft of denim, and it's a higher quality. And you can usually tell because if there's a turn up and then there's those marks at the side, that usually means it's a selvage denim. Some people do fake it, but I'm assuming these are high quality denim.
It's gone for Levi's, man.
Oh,
I've never heard the word weft before.
I mean,
Get into your denim, boys, because life's long.
I tell you
these
what,
salvage.
this fucking chat is leaving me bereft. Eh?
Bereft of joy. But you, the bit was, it's about how you consider, not to do your bit at you.
That's
And I
alright.
know that's not what this podcast
That's
is
fine.
for, but it's about how
Well, we're
you
talking about the special.
don't-
You can do the bit.
Yeah, what
he
is this
doesn't
podcast for?
consider
Talk
himself,
about
I don't know. But you don't consider yourself a Teutcher.
Glaswegians have a go at you if you're not from Glasgow, and they say that you're a country bumpkin and you're a Teutcher, and I'm pushing back against it. And then I remember, to be fair, there was a horse in the pub,
Yeah.
which is pretty Teutcher.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a horse in the pub?
No.
Even blind boys like horse outside. Do you know what I mean?
Well, in Dublin, there was a horse at the pub in Temple Bar, and the thing is, I put up,
Inside?
not outside.
Right.
But the thing is, I put up a picture of this on Instagram recently, and I don't really know anything about horses. And a few people messaged me saying, "Take that down because the horse is pure, like it's like apparently it's like so skinny that it looks like fucked." And people like take that down, and I'm like,
Hold on, you've got to take
but
down
it's
a
like it's
picture of a
number.
horse.
What is? I've got a whole carousel here.
Yeah.
I can't just take down that. I'm not taking down my post because this fucking.
Well, people are saying, "Oh, you're profiting and career-wise from this."
I think they're
image of
just
a
like
sick
that.
horse."
It's like cause they love animals or whatever. They're like, that's an animal that's malnourished, so take that down. But I didn't fucking notice.
Hold on, is this a real horse?
There's so at sea in Temple Bar.
Yeah.
There's like. That's why I took
It's
a
a
picture of
tourist
it because
spot.
it's like a tourist spot, and there's just all these bars, and then there's just a fucking hot. It's like now, it's like those. Like I think you can get a ride on it or whatever.
It's like Central Park
right.
in New York.
Exactly. There was just a horse there, and I'm like, this is crazy. And then so I put that up, and then but I didn't notice it's fucking starving. I'm just I was trying to do a 3-point turn in the road. That's why I thought this is mental. This is happening.
Well, I mean, I'm actually a horse expert, and horses only sit outside the Temple Bar when they're distressed.
Yeah.
That is one of the signs.
I think it's if you're doing that, you're going to be distressed regardless. I was distressed.
€9 for a pint. That's
Yeah,
distressing.
distressing.
No wonder there wasn't in the pub.
How much is these horses like? No way.
Probably a horse in your fucking Debenhams.
No,
I think
man,
it's
that's
more weird to have a hairdresser in the Debenhams than a horse in the pub.
What would you be most surprised to see?
It was weird.
I'd like one fruit of the limb jumper and a short back and sides, please. Man from the 90s.
Can I get what was John Rocker?
Oh,
They always sold
aye.
that in Debenhams.
Aye.
John Rocker.
What was
On the
the?
advert.
Yeah.
See that the shop that's like Fraser's now? I think that's even closed. But was that a
Fraser
Debenhams?
shut.
No, it's still kicking the ball.
There's something going on.
House of Fraser.
I
But
think
what
it
was
is
the one
from-
in Princess Street
Fraser.
that shut? It wasn't Debenhams, but it was the other one.
Oregon.
Do you know what I'm talking about? What was that shop? And it used to be in Princess Street as well, and then it shut.
Jenner's.
Jenner's.
Jenner's is coming back.
Is it?
Is it?
Jenner's is an independent department store.
But was that no in Glasgow as well?
I love
Don't
getting the
think so.
train through
When
Edinburgh and
you
you
see
go
the big
past
one.
the Jenner's warehouse. It's beautiful. You wouldn't know you don't get the train a lot, but
No, I don't know.
it's
It's that in
got a car.
Murrayfield.
yeah.
Can I do
Murrayfield's lovely.
VHS there when it busting off. It's terrible. No,
Big
definitely High
honking,
Big honking shop.
sexies.
Honking sissies.
Big honking sexies.
Sexies.
Yeah, they've been out of business, sadly.
I used to love the British Home Stores breakfast.
Why?
They used to have a good fry up in there. What's your favourite fry up in Glasgow?
In Glasgow. Fuck. Come back to me because this means a lot to me. I've got to
Best
get this
fry
right.
up in Glasgow. Where are you going?
It's hard.
The way you get Snacks Cafe or what's that
Yeah,
place?
Edinburgh's
in
honestly-
Montpellier?
Montpellier.
Montpellier.
I don't know. It's hard to say because to me, if I was wanting a real fry up in Glasgow, I would just buy stuff in and make it myself.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
So I don't know where would you go?
I have no idea when I would go for a fry up. To be honest, I would just make it myself as well.
No.
Maybe that's the trick.
A fry up, I do like to make my own one because it's about the detail in it.
It is, and you can pick and
University
choose what you
Cafe,
want.
I would say
It's
I'd get
decent.
the 2 sausage cheese,
Decent.
chips, beans. and
Really,
toast.
I've always felt University Cafe's a bit overrated
Come on.
personally.
Don't say
decent.
that.
I feel like their stuff is watered down.
Mary
I feel like
from
they're-
Mary's
they're-
Milk.
It's the
I
whole
think it's
vibe
a
in
way-
there. It's the
I
whole
think
vibe
it's
in
a
it rather than
West
the food.
End person's idea of what a normal chippy's like.
University Cafe, it's not just a cafe, it's a post-war milk bar. Now, we are all familiar with Mary's Milk Bar in Edinburgh. This wasn't... What are you saying it?
Post-war milk bar. What are you talking about?
So there was a period
Let him go.
post-war... Let me cook.
That's what they're saying in University Cafe.
We're ending
this
the clip with him with the hat on sideways talking about the
Yeah.
forums.
Oh, he's got
anyway.
it straight on now. Let Unc
Let
cook.
me cook. Let Unc... cook. Uncle be cooking.
Let
over here.
nephew cook.
What's it like being back in Scotland? Is it good?
It's actually great. Yeah, I'm enjoying
Right,
it.
no, explain
Post-war
this.
So,
milk bar.
I believe that there was a period of immigration to Scotland from Italy during the years of fascism, Mussolini, etc.
Yeah.
Just to jump in there for 1 second, well, that the reason
He gave us Armando Iannucci and Pilonatini, etc.
in
Yeah,
New
fair
Zealand none of the pasta sauces are good because they've not enough Italians there.
Of course.
They're all shit.
Well, they all went to Melbourne.
Yeah, back to
There's
you.
more Greek people in Melbourne than there are in Athens.
Well, it depends on the size of the.
Well, Ange Postecoglou
Yes.
was a Greek who went to
Can
Australia.
you do a good English impression?
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's got that weird cough, isn't he?
His nose prominent these days.
He's got that Premier League money now. He's had it looked at.
Do you think he's got turkey cough?
I was scared for him for a while, man.
It really didn't sound good.
No,
for a while.
no, it was-
Fucking hell, man.
One of the boys. So after or during that period in the 30s and 40s,
Uh-huh.
there was a huge wave of like temperance movement. So people were trying to drink less in Scotland. That was social ills.
When we talk on this podcast, we don't usually need fucking footnotes, alright? What the fuck's a temperance?
Just tell us why the sausages aren't as good.
So Mary's Milk Bar is an attempt. So when Italian people came here, they brought ice cream and they
Right.
brought the combination
Nardinis,
etc.
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 Equis.
Equis, all these brands we know and love.
Ben and Jerry.
Yeah. So they all came to Scotland.
They're like Mario Brothers. Didn't they?
I saw a thing about Ben and Jerry's, and it said if you're getting like one with like maybe like a fudge brownie thing, check the bottom of the tub because underneath
secret
the ice
one
cream
in
there's
there.
a secret brownie in there. So that's something to think about.
I seen
What?
that video, but it's not true.
It's not true.
Well, how
How
could
We don't
could
want
that
to
be
spread
true?
any
How could that not be
we don't want to spread disinformation on this podcast. Ross.
What? You're telling me that video wasn't exactly 100% true?
Who showed this to you?
TikTok.
Right.
Right.
So sorry, milk
Milk
bar.
bar.
Mary's Milk Bar was an attempt to recreate the iconic post-war. People used Chippies as a place to hang out and not drink alcohol,
Right.
and it led to people
It
loving
was like a shisha bar for
It was a
Italians.
What a great way of putting it. That's exactly what it was like.
Right.
Sure, tell me this was to try and improve society.
Yeah.
To hang about in chippies eating.
But they would read the paper because that's what it was all wrapped in.
Exactly.
Scottish people need a bit of a nudge hanging about in chippies and eating shit. So, we'll have
So
that.
what's this got to do with milk? But
So University Cafe is one of the only milk bars left.
right.
So it's like part of history.
But do they still serve milk?
And Mary, they're trying to attempt to recreate that past, but they go on staff trips every year to check out the real deal.
Right. But you can't get a fucking fish supper in Mary's Milk Bar.
Sadly not. You can get a fantastic. I mean, you've been to Mary's Milk Bar, haven't you? We've all been.
Yeah.
Well, so just because something's like old doesn't mean it's good necessarily.
No,
Talking
but-
about University Cafe.
no, of course.
I like their ice cream, love Unicaf.
I like the ice creams and I like the chippies.
Fair enough. I've only been once, to be honest with you.
You've only
years
been
ago.
once.
And it was
What did you get?
a chippy.
Get the Bourdain special.
Well, I was there pre-Bourdain.
Wow.
That's how long ago it was.
You need to go again.
Aye, get another show.
You went to Glasgow.
I know,
Uni,
that's
you never
what I'm-
went to Uni
Well,
Cafe?
yeah, because it's a wee bit out of the way if it didn't where you would normally go, and also
Footfall's less.
yeah, and also I didn't rate it because I was like the chippy. And
Where
Clyde
did you
Bank-
hang out when you
Chippy
went
and
to
Clyde
Glasgow?
Bank.
Uni?
Mark went to
Clyde
Glasgow
Bank.
Uni, but he
Clyde
didn't. He didn't be Glasgow Uni.
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
No, I would drive up there and I
remained-
would leave, and it's 20 minutes, and then I would drive back, and I would. I mean, literally, like, because I went when I was 17 as well, right? So, like,
Yeah, couldn't get to the
see after my no, I could get in the pub because I was tall, right? And I lied on my QMU card.
Your matriculation.
Yeah, but not my trick card, but in the one to get into the union. But I would just go home and like the weekends obviously hang about with my mates for here. And my first ever exams in the December, I celebrated like passing my English exams by going up to a place called the Complex and having a bottle of bucky and like basically in the park.
Yeah.
And that was the life I was living.
Are you getting your whole much?
Sadly not. At that point.
See, when you're older, you'll be a wee shagger. You'll be a big shagger. Yeah.
But no, but I never. Yeah, I just remember thinking like, there's better chippies in my local bit,
Chip boat.
the chip boat, etc. It could go on.
What's your favourite chippy?
Favourite chippy? I really like the Oxford chippy in Glasgow.
Wow. Right next to your old flat, not to
Right
dox
next to
past
my
you.
old. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it okay to
it's
dox
fucking great,
someone's
innit?
past?
I think you can.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it's class.
I've doxed myself hundreds of times. Like my
Give me your exact address, right?
I have put it out on the internet so many times, but I always say to people after I do it, I go, just remember, I've got a Ring doorbell. I'll see you before you see me.
That's funny.
And that's it. I'll be like boiling water from
What's your
above.
favourite? You don't like chips? That's famous.
What?
Well, I'm not. It's not that I don't like chips. It's just that I would prefer something else rather than chips.
I feel
Like
that with
what?
the
Like
crisps a wee bit. I would say I'm not that any. I like crisps. Don't get me wrong, but I really have them.
It's sort of like if it's like I'm not ordering a cheeseburger. A lot if I'm ordering a cheeseburger and it comes with chips, I'm like, well, I'm not really ordering the chips. I'm ordering the cheeseburger's the thing that I want. The chips are just a side, and I'm like,
That's-
I
how about
wish I
just
felt
get-
that way.
It's like
What would you
girlfriend's dream.
What would we just get two?
That's what they call Rosco the girlfriend.
That's what makes up to Lindsay for all these enemies come to his door every night.
No, you have the chips, hen. I've got to hold the horns up.
I'm just going to take my big boiling water to the door.
I like to picture your front door with like 3 different baseball bats of different levels of violence, like right at the front door. So you got like plain bat, metal bat, and then spiky bat.
I have a rubber mallet that's pretty heavy that I sleep with next to my bed, but only because of a ghostly occurrence once. Not any human occurrence.
You're going to rubber mallet a ghost?
Please go on.
Well, I had this, and this is a different vibe for Some Laugh podcast now. This is the like, what's that ghost fucking podcast they've got?
Some ghost.
Yeah, okay, let's run with that. Some Ghost. This is the Some Ghost podcast now. I was just...
Not all ghost.
just Some Ghost.
Some ghost.
So, like, me, Lindsay, 2 dogs upstairs in bed, and I'm just lying there, like, everyone else is asleep, and I just hear the unmistakable sound of, like, a switch being clicked.
The unmistakable sound of a jellyfish.
Fucking hell. I was like, oh my God, where was that from? Oh, that was me. Unmistakable sound.
Sorry.
That was an old bit of Roscoe's.
I heard a switch being clicked, and I was like, that could only be that sound. That's only that sound. And I was like, it's weird because the walls are like fucking brick, they're solid. I don't usually hear either side, but I was like, well, it is quiet, so I probably heard someone else's house. But I was freaking out about it a wee bit, and then I forgot about it.
Sorry, I just remember you telling the story on tour.
Aye, half an hour later, right, Lindsay's like, oh, the dogs aren't settling, can you take them out? And I was like, right, okay. And I got up, and as I like went out the room and turned to the corner at the top of the stairs, I saw the light was on for the living room downstairs, and I was like, fuck, just pure instant chills. And I'm like, that's not right, man. That was a light switch earlier on, and that light's been flicked, and there must be some cunt in the house. And I just like went downstairs and like burst into the living room, nobody there. And I was like,
You ever
fuck.
did that thing where you go, ha! And then you're in the corner in the dark and there's nobody there.
I just fucking, I was just like kicking the doors, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I'd kick the door, and then I was like, right, nobody in the living room. I'm like, right, into the kitchen now, but that's where all the knives are. So I fucking kicked that door.
Did you
Kick
expect them all
that
to be flying at you?
They could be, at this point,
Tornado.
I'm thinking. At this point, I'm
other side of
thinking.
the door, it's my dad! No!
You kicked the door off my booby, son. I was hoping there was a pair. I wish it was my dad with his booby out there, man. I was like,
Don't say that.
no, it'd have been better than what I found, which was ultimately nothing, and it sent shivers up and down my body.
It's just nothing again. I wish it was my dad with his booby.
So here's the thing: a light switch was on, and you thought it was a ghost. I still don't really get
A light
this.
switch was flicked on.
How do you know that you didn't just leave it on the night before?
How do you know you didn't just forget it?
And what's a
Because-
rubber mallet going to do?
Well, here's the thing. Well, the rubber mallet.
And also,
was
do you
just-
not live in a new building, East Kilbride?
No, it's like a kind of.
You moved.
Well, it was
It's
one
an
of the
old
first
building.
houses,
Lived there.
but nobody else has lived in that house other than my granny and granda. So if
okay.
it is a ghost, I know the cunt.
Should have been your granddad with his booby.
It could have been. But this thing, would you rather it was your dad with his bobby out behind the door or a ghost?
That's an age-old
Ghost.
question.
Ghost.
Who would you rather shag?
Ghost? That's shite.
I dragged the ghost to save my
Your
dad.
dad with a hard on. Your dad's got a hard on, trying to stop himself from bleeding out, or the ghost of your dad, if he didn't have the hard on and bled out.
There's a ghost behind you and your dad's in front of you. You gotta go forward or you gotta go back. Needless to say.
What I think is more interesting, to be honest, right, in this hypothetical scenario.
What do you mean?
I was just saying, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? What are you talking about? After what you just said. No, I get the concept. I just mean, what the fuck are you
You gonna
doing?
go forward or you gonna go back?
You're gonna bend down and go forward and back at the same time, get them both off.
Surely you go
That's what I
towards
mean.
the ghost because you're not going to feel anything that way.
Well, not physically, but emotionally.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a deeper level than
My
just
question is though with these things because like it's always electric stuff that people have these tellies turning on and light switching up when it comes to ghosts, and that is the one thing that you do go like because I had the one time I remember something that was like I was sort of half asleep and then it was like a lamp turned on. I don't think anybody came in, but probably somebody did come in and switch it on or whatever.
How do you know?
You don't know, but it's like it's with stuff like that, and it's and like the dogs as well being agitated.
Exactly.
Is
Maybe a rat scampered over the switch or something.
Up the wall, up the flat wall.
I've seen rats climb
The
things.
thing is, we don't use those. They're the big lights. We've got an Alexa hooked up to the lamp that I go, Alexa, turn on the. If anyone's listening to this at home, Alexa, turn on the lamp. Or so I'll say that, and then the fucking lamp will turn on. We just use that, so we don't use the big light switches. That's what we
Maybe
forget.
somebody shouted something and Alexa got confused.
But it was the switch that it.
Was the actual switch changed, or had it just kind of came on? Do you know what I mean? Because it was like
The switch had flicked, yeah, because I heard the switch flick. And
See if
the
somebody
light,
was
the
like
big light was
a
on.
face appeared in my wall and shouted, "Ah!" I'd be like, that's a ghost. See if someone's like, a light switch changed. I'm like, what do you think ghosts do? Know that.
Well, interestingly enough, right.
This has been
here's-
another episode of Some Ghost.
Interestingly enough, right, who was it? There was a guy, I can't remember his name now, but he's responsible for the way that we perceive ghosts now because.
Derek Acora.
No, I'm getting a fanny coming through. I'm getting it's your dad in Amsterdam coming through. There was a guy. It was back in France.
He is coming through.
Can't remember his name. He was a Belgian guy. He was in France, and he done like these kind of
Jean-Claude
shows.
Van Damme.
No,
The muscles from Brussels.
he done these shows right where he would use like kind of literal smoke and mirrors and like little paintings. He was like an artist guy, but he studied like kind of like on like trick cinematography.
And you can do the splits between two big trucks
Yeah,
when they're moving.
He can do that, yeah.
Unbelievable.
And he can also dance pretty well as well. And you're like, I wouldn't
Printed a lot of this stuff off, and his dad's printing.
But he made these shows, they're called Phantasmagoria. He made these shows that were so, people thought they were so real that they actually like phoned the police and stuff like that. Like, this can't be, we've never seen anything like this. This cunt's summoning ghosts.
What's coming to the point? That's a fucking ghost in my house.
That's some podcast lore there. And that's where like Charles Dickens apparently.
Suppose need to phone the fire brigade, son.
Charles Dickens went and saw these shows, and then that's when he saw these shows and was like, fucking hell. And when he saw that, he wrote in the Christmas Carol that the two, Marley and Marley, came as like kind of
Clanking chains.
floaty beings, because before that, people thought ghosts were like physical, like just cunts actually walking about.
Yeah.
So that guy changed the whole land of how we see ghosts.
He changed the whole game. Unc was cooking
Yeah.
when he came up with that ghost pattern.
So whenever I see someone go, I saw like a floating see-through cut, I'm like, no, you didn't. You're talking shite.
You believe you've seen this because of the French guy that Charles Dickens ripped off.
Well, the Belgian guy.
The Belgian.
Who done it in
come on,
France.
the same thing.
Yeah. So really, so Charles Dickens, the way that he influenced what we now know as ghosts was actually taken for this guy, much in the same way that That's So Raven was taken from Sister Sister.
This has been a really different
Natural
episode.
evolution.
It's not usually like this.
It's not.
I think
I
it's,
think we started on. It took us a while to get there,
To
but
find the level.
it's
Yeah.
contained multitudes, I'll say
it
that.
certainly has.
It's been
And are you happy with how your special came out, Roscoe?
Well, I don't know, I've not seen it yet.
Yeah,
so
right.
I haven't watched it.
I watched it. It was great.
And you're doing your crowd work special.
Crowd work.
I haven't seen it. I just saw that there's two old ladies in the front row.
Yeah, that was funny.
I was like,
There's a really good bit there because the thing is, it's just me. It was me opening for Steve when he done his special,
Shout out to
so it's
Steve
really
McCann.
well shot. But there's a great see that angle that we've got, which you'll see in the actual special because you can't really do it for the socials. But that angle's a really cool shot of the stage and the kind of front row,
Right.
because for the side and
yeah.
and it's like just really that bit was really funny because there just were two old ladies that just sort of had turned up. So I was like, "Are you a big fan of Steve?" And they're like, "No." And they're like, "Do you know this is at all?" They're like, "I think we're in the wrong place." And but they were sitting next to these boys. It was really good stuff. So there's just those both shows, the two shows we done that night. There was just loads of really good stuff happened in the because I just done crowd work when I was opening.
Yeah.
And then just loads of really good stuff happened, and it shot really nicely. So I was like, obviously when I was thinking of putting it out, I was like, oh, maybe put something together and just stick it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then obviously, became part of the whole thing. So it'll be exciting to do.
It's a shame Liam can't be here.
Yes.
I know, well,
we
Liam
didn't
with
realise
Neil,
he's on a cruise.
Honourable omission. Well, the thing is, as we were discussing in a group chat yesterday, obviously when the wee news story said 5 Scottish comics, and technically he's not fucking Scottish. Well, he's not
If
Scottish.
you live in Scotland,
He's lived
you're
in
Scottish.
Scotland. He
Scottish
could
to
play for Scotland, the national team, how long he's lived here. But
He could also play for Ireland and England. It's just a shame he's not a professional level footballer.
this is true. But he's not here. But his special is very, very good.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
looks
yeah.
great as well. Shot him on
Directed
that.
by
Absolutely.
Nick F.
Nicholas F. Jane, who
The
also
guy's
shot
absolutely
Stu's.
Also the man.
And
Yeah.
mine, actually. So there you
Yeah.
go. 3 out
Friend
of
of the
5.
show.
Ain't
Who was
bad.
it that shot yours?
John McCormack, who done Kevin Bridges and John Richardson and Rob
I'm going to
Beckett.
assume you spent a substantial amount more on it then.
Cannot believe how much money I spent on this.
Yeah. Chris had initially booked the Hydro, and then it turns out the sales weren't quite
Yeah,
as-
no, I, that's not true. But let's be serious here for a second. But I just wanted to kind of do a big Hail Mary. Don't do any weekend shows in Glasgow for a year. Anybody who wants to come see me, come see this show.
Yeah.
And it didn't. I mean, it went well.
It was great.
Wasn't it like a...
Mate, it was an amazing night.
forward to seeing it.
You absolutely smashed it, and the special's brilliant. So
Yeah, so
very much looking forward to seeing it.
June 22nd, put it in your diary.
Yes, and then it'll be. So we should explain to people because somebody did ask her like, will it be available after 8 p.m? I'm like, oh yeah. We're
Have you heard of
premiering-
YouTube, the
Yeah,
brother?
we're premiering all these specials on 8 o'clock every Sunday. But then I'll obviously just be able to. They'll be available to watch.
Confusingly,
In my contract, it says that it only replays on YouTube at 8 p.m. every Sunday,
Reruns. Yeah.
forever.
wow.
Any other time. If you try and come in at 8:01, you're blocked at one
No
night. you watch
latecomers
it.
policy.
But James Acast did that thing with his special, two specials ago.
Mm-hmm.
Cold Lasagna.
Yeah.
Hate Myself, 1997. Is that what number?
1999.
1999. And he done the thing where he was like, I don't want this out forever.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to have it played a few times.
Yeah, he did that.
Obviously, because of.
He's now put it is
Oh,
now
has he put it
available,
out?
but yeah, I think because the nature of some of the
Yeah.
stuff he's talking about, he didn't want it kind of shared, which was fair enough.
Yeah.
Despite the fact they dealt with it in a very admirable way, in my opinion. Yes.
Funny.
Sure.
Original. Clever. Wait.
Gonna take that wee bit and be like,
you-
that's a new trailer.
are you trying- You
Original.
try to get on off
yourself
menu or
about
something like that?
What?
You try to get on off menu or something like that?
No. I'm just showing, I can be a good guest on things, and I have got
Well,
lots of opinions
you
about
think
My
Being a
dream
good guy.
restaurant would just be the University Cafe. Have you heard of milk fucking bars?
I think they would be so delighted to hear about the history of the Scottish milk bar.
I think they'd be
Well, you've
less
just
delighted.
spunked on this.
Yeah, I've just spunked my trousers.
They'd
all
be
over
less
them.
delighted to hear about the hairdressers and Debenhams, I think. But
I don't think Ed
Well-
Gamble's going to actually to get a whole much.
So, did you got to be a shagger? A big shagger when you're older? Yeah. What's your dream podcast to be on? Is there any I'd love to be on it? Joe Rogan of
Mark
Obviously,
Maron,
yeah,
he's
obviously.
fucking Mark Maron's
Maron's
quitting.
chucking it.
The two Marks I always wanted to be.
and Glasgow did.
I know, of course.
everybody's-
same day.
everybody's
They don't have
liking it.
guests though.
Yeah, that's
But-
true.
mine's is some laugh, so I'm living my
Aw.
dream right now.
There you go.
That's
Don't
nice.
touch
That's
my
very
house.
sweet.
What
Sounds
one
good,
would you like to go on?
Mark Maron would be an absolute dream. I just don't think he would like me.
No, yous are like the same. Which is why
One
we.
of my pals said that to me. He was like, I've been listening to that when I was 22 or something. He was like, I've been listening to Mark Maron. He's like you, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes, like you.
Self-destructive, burning bridges.
I'm a bit more.
Selvage denim.
But one day you'll be a shagger.
One day, yeah.
Just like, what would you like to go on?
Comedy Bang Bang, maybe.
Oh,
but I don't really
okay.
listen to that anymore.
Yeah,
But
It's too much, isn't it?
do you know, it is too much, yeah.
I love it, but it's too much.
I actually don't listen to a lot of podcasts. That's my thing.
You had a podcast, but you forgot to tell anybody.
Well, it's not that I forgot to tell anyone. It's just that I didn't. It's not like I
Chose not
chose
to
not
tell.
Yeah, I just was like, I'll just record it and put it out.
yeah.
That was it. And then I was like, oh, something needs to. I need to drop something, and it's got to be that.
The
Unfortunately,
thing I don't tell anybody about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smart decision.
Yeah, the promotion is getting too much for me.
it's because I was recording like I was writing and recording a brand new like song every time I done it.
Oh.
So that would like the podcast would just like
Stephen Buchanan
chatting,
level part of
Yeah,
and then I
that's
would
what's
just
the script,
fucking
killing us.
I would bash a song
But
out.
nobody asked him to do that. Nobody asked you to do that.
I just like doing it.
Sounds more like you want to record the song every week.
I like doing it.
Yeah.
I like doing that, and I would talk, and then eventually through that I would go, oh, that sounds like a song.
Even Adam Buxton doesn't do a new song every week, but he has. You'd like that probably. Adam Buxton's podcast.
I don't know.
Rambo chat. Let's have a rambo chat. He does a wee song.
Yeah.
Chris really using this as a shop window.
I know.
There's loads of great
Back to
podcasts out
bigger
there.
podcasts.
Here comes the guillotine.
Wow, would love to be a guest on that.
I would like to air my grievances about how it should be here comes the guillotine instead of guillotine.
What do you mean by that?
It should be guillotine
Why?
because it's a French word.
Yeah, why
And
don't
it's
you
pronounced
use
guillotine.
See when
He's
Charles
done the other.
Dickens went to see his cut with the ghosts? He wasn't saying guillotine.
Why do you mean? Why don't you gill his piece?
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't make any sense to call it "Here Comes the Guillotine."
I remember Melnsey came up to me and went, I've seen your podcast doing well, Christopher. Here come the guillotine. I was looking at the countries.
Mersey Mark Black.
Hey! Anyway,
He was in character as
big
Glasgow.
big in France. I was doing well in the French chats. I went, it's probably because guillotine's a French word. And I went, hey. That's the story.
That's why you think it's big in the French
Must
chart.
be, yeah. They went, oh, there's a word I know. Imagine you're looking, oh, who's Adam
So
Buxton?
what? You think French people are sat at home on the iTunes or whatever, and they're just googling any French word in the hope that
I think
Here comes the croissant. Oh, listen to that.
you would listen to a podcast called Here Comes the Croissant.
I'm going to start a podcast called "Here Comes the Croissant."
I would start it
No.
and pronounce it Here Comes the Croissant. Just to piss you off.
Bet you fucking would.
But I think French people are on their apps and they're just going, I don't know what this word means. Off menu was that.
I like it.
Yeah, all this stuff. And then they're saying, oh, there's a word I know. Here comes the guillotine. I'll check that out. And then
Guillotine.
going, Scotch
And then they
guys.
don't hear, they don't understand any of the other words that
Yeah.
are said in it.
But they love it and they listen every week.
They will say guillotine eventually at the start and the end.
Yeah.
Right, well, listen, guys. Thanks for joining us. Before we go, obviously, Summer Laugh coming this week, starting with Christopher MacArthur-Boyd, live at the Pavilion, Scary Times.
First up.
Then myself, Liam's, Roscoe's, and Stu's will all be out in that order.
We are also all doing the Edinburgh Fringe Festival
Yes.
That is
at
correct,
Monkey
yeah.
Barrel
All
Comedy.
doing shows at Monkey
Absolutely.
Barrel Comedy.
What's
Right,
your show
come see
called?
us.
Crisps and a lie down.
What's your show called?
How could hell be any worse?
What's your show called?
Bread and Circuses.
And mine's is called Helen at the Moon.
There we go. Well, that's a great way to plug, guys. Come and check out the specials on the Some Love YouTube channel.
Also check out Roscoe's Twitch.
Done.
And his podcast.
And it's-
Just watch the specials. Come and see us at the Fringe. And aside for that, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, boys.
Bonsoir.